with us so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
The tables have turned
Turn to where?
to our episode on Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Season 3 is what we are here to talk about. It was given to us by a fan. I will not name that fan because it's Lexi and it might sound like nepotism. So I will keep them anonymous for the sake of this episode.
Okay, good call. Someone
thanks.
give us a challenge.
Yeah.
You can always bleep it out later when you edit it.
It was Lexi. Don't tell anyone though, because we're going to keep it anonymous, right?
Mhm.
No one's here.
Anonymous.
So, season 3 of Ted Lasso was given us on Patreon. Ted Lasso is, of course, a sports comedy drama developed by Jason Sudeikis, Bill Lawrence, Brendan Hunt, and Joe Kelly, based on, very finally, Sudeikis' first portrayal of the character on promos for NBC sports coverage of England's Premier League. It was just a one-off sketchy commercial thing, and they were like, wow, let's make a show about that. And it actually worked, because that doesn't always work.
That's true.
But
yeah.
It actually worked.
No, and it's great. Look, we watched the first season and we talked about the first season in the last time we talked about Ted Lasso. So
The whole season, is that what we talked about?
yeah, so you can go back and you can watch our whole first season review. Maybe not. I don't know. I think you ended up watching the first season, even though I said you didn't have to. I think that's what happened. But you can go back to that episode and our review and our thoughts. But basically, I think we both ended up really, really loving the show. The show had a lot of heart. It was episodes 1 through 3. Thank you, Daron.
Wow. Dramaturge of Now Try This. That was impressive.
So we ended up really liking the show. I think we connected with, I connected with the heart that was in the show. I connected with how funny it was and how it kind of brought the sports, the excitement and the joy that you get from watching a sports movie. It brought that to a television series in a way that was really enjoyable for me, someone who doesn't watch sports.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it at a time, probably, but I love sports dramas. Give me a Remember the Titans, give me a Rudy, give me something, give me a Haikyuu, give me a show or movie where there is a sports and it just feels like there's these crazy stakes because that sport in that moment is the most important thing to ever happen in the lives of those people. It just like adds drama instinctually, and I love a good speech. I love a good rallying cry, and this show is full of that heart you get from one of those things. While on top of it being incredibly funny and smart and perceptive of the human condition and all the great things that we touted about season 1.
Yeah.
Really, really, really quick. Ted Lasso season 2. Yes? No?
So I feel like Ted Lasso in season 1 he had this like impenetrable optimism, I guess, is kind of what it felt like. And then season 2, I think you saw it wane in season 1 for sure. But in season 2 is where you really see him sort of struggle with his anxiety. He's struggling with his family. He's wondering why he's even away from his family. He's lost his wife. He feels like he's losing his son. And the team also kind of had some inner turmoil as well. And season 2 sort of ends with like Nate betraying the team and leaving to go work with Rupert and his football team.
I guess let's start there, because I would say that season, I feel like, was revered completely until the final moments, when a lot of people had very strong feelings about those last moments of the show.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that turn?
I feel like the turn made sense. I don't think I necessarily enjoyed it happening, because so much of the show feels happy and fun, and hard times are like, yes, you can overcome them. But in the season 2, you could tell that like it was like a culmination of things that were leading to Nate's ultimate decision in the end. And that you weren't going to get a resolution that season. Like the resolution's going to come next season. So it just felt like we were given sort of like emotional blue balls in a way that we haven't been given in the show yet up until that point.
Agreed. I think that was perfectly said. I wish I had more to add to it. That was exactly what I felt too. I usually like ramble on trying to say the same thing in a different way so I can sound smart. No, you're right. That was right.
Okay,
That
yeah.
was correct.
What did you think
Sorry.
about
So-
Nate's character development specifically? Like, were you like,
it
was
was
it hurting
such
you
a
the whole
weird.
time?
It was
Was it
such a
weird?
weird season because the season was building off of everything, all the good faith that they created the first season. They
Mhm.
did more of it. Now the boss was on their side. We got like actual character development from the boss. We got character development from the assistant coach. We got even more development between like with Roy and with Jamie and of course with Keely. Like all these characters were really getting like and then like other characters like Sam from the club and Danny. Like we were starting to get more and more of all these people. It was so good the whole season. But the Nate stuff was so strange. Like I kept feeling like
Mhm.
they took what I thought would happen and then just tried to make it a little off-putting.
Yeah.
Like it felt like they wanted me to not like Nate. Like we're clearly rooting for Nate the entire first season. He's the ball boy that's like actually a genius. And then he gets rewarded the second season. And it's like that feeling in the first season to the second when he becomes a coach is like iconic and great
Mhm.
and wonderful and like why you love the show. And then instead of being about him growing up, it's like him not being able to, right? Like this show does a wonderful job of taking people like Jamie and Roy, who have these Keely, these deep, the boss,
Yeah.
deep character flaws. And like, this is the difference between this and The Office, right? I think that's why I kind of like the show more than The Office, at least in terms of the heart. It does that same thing. It's like people in a situation at their job and they're kind of dumb sometimes, right?
Mhm.
But where like The Office is like detached and ironic about the human condition. Ted Lasso is like, no, they're still good people. They do
Yeah.
dumb stuff. Sometimes they're kind of dumb, but like at the end of the day, they're people with heart and like intention. And like every time that Jamie makes the right choice, it feels amazing. Every
Mhm.
time Roy eventually makes the right choice, it feels amazing. Every time that Keely eventually learns what kind of woman she is and eventually gets what she wants, it feels so satisfying. But then Nate, instead of being that same thing, I don't know why. They've talked about it and I can't remember what they said, but it's probably for like this is the story they want to tell, that not everybody like steps up to that challenge, right? Not
Yeah.
everybody when they get up to the penalty shot makes it in the goal, you know? But all those little instances like trying to get the seat in the restaurant, the spitting thing, the hitting on Keely, all these moments with
I don't
Nate,
like the spitting.
every moment with Nate felt icky,
Mhm.
cringy, like weird. And it wasn't the actor. The actor does a great job.
Yeah.
And the writing's also like still paced well and written well, but the choice they made about him, I don't like it. And I maybe that's the point, but it honestly, it like by the time that season end, I really have a I don't know if I loved this show because of that stuff in the second season.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I can see that. I feel like second season had the same second in a trilogy sort of like issues, right? Where like this is the part where like people are gonna switch sides. This is the part where people like, you know, the villain's gonna win. This is the part where the heroes aren't necessarily gonna get there, you know,
Yeah.
win every single battle that they have.
It just felt weird because there was only that one thing with that one character. Everything else still felt the same.
It felt like they
great.
needed something, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I think the parts with Nate made me feel uncomfortable in a way that if he was just sort of like becoming a villain, I think it would be like one thing. But he
Yeah.
obviously wasn't, right? And it was interesting to
Yes.
watch. Like he's just a good person. He was just kind of like embarrassed and unwilling to sort of like look himself in the mirror and like say the things that he needs to say to himself and make it through those hurdles. And that leads him to making this decision to just kind of like abandon everything.
Yeah. It's just so hard when you watch a show to see the heart of people and to see someone not step up to the challenge. It just feels bad.
Yeah.
And not in a pathos kind of way. And it just like, I don't feel good about this kind
Yeah.
of way.
Yeah.
You know?
Darren makes a good point. It's important to show that Ted's optimism can have negative consequences too. It's not just a one size fits and we're all better people now, which is, yeah. Yeah, that's true. It was, a lot of Ted's fault that Nate was that way too.
Super agree, but like it never felt justified for me.
That's
Right?
fair. Yeah.
Because I think they did, you know what? Maybe the problem was they did too good of a job, because I haven't ever talked to anyone, and I can't imagine you feel differently, who's not on Ted's side. Like, I understand his optimism is like, there are consequences to him, and I get that that's the lesson that they're saying, but like, it's too good of a job. I'm always rooting for Ted.
Here's my opinion on Ted Lasso.
You
On Ted. Season 1, I
hate
really
Jason
loved Ted.
Sudeikis. Say it out loud. You hate Jason Sudeikis. Tell the truth.
I feel like this. This is kind of where I feel on Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
The character. So when we're introduced to Ted, he's very optimistic, right? And the show presents Ted as sort of like a flat character where he is this like beacon of optimism that is going to change those around him. And he's not necessarily going to grow or change or whatever. That's kind of like the vibe season 1 was giving off, right?
Yeah.
And eventually
100%.
as season 1 continues, you see that there's more underneath the surface there. And then it wasn't until season 2 that I feel like we really dug into that a little bit more. So from a viewing perspective, I could see why a lot of fans were kind of thrown off by that, right? You're thinking you're getting this sort of flat character like a Goku or something who's just going to be the same the whole time. You know,
bring it back to anime. You
always got to bring it back to anime, baby. Always got to bring it back to anime. I don't feel like flat characters aren't really done a lot anymore in modern times anywhere else.
Not on purpose. No.
Exactly. Yeah, not on purpose. But anime still does it a lot.
On purpose, yeah.
On purpose, which is not great. But like a Goku. He was going to come in and people, he was going to go and fight the battles and win the soccer, and everyone was going to love him for it or hate him because of it. But he was going to get to you. He was going to win you over. He was going to bake you cookies and win you over. And then I think season 2 was like, let's look at that. Let's really like dig in and look at like what that is. Why is that? What's happening here? Does that have any impact on Ted Lasso himself? And it made for, I think, a better season, but a more uncomfortable season for sure.
Really interesting. And as you're saying that, it reminded me of at the opening of us talking about the show, I said I love sports dramas. What you just described is not a sports drama anymore. The end of the movie, the end of the show is they win the game and they bake cookies. Yeah. Right? That's the end of every single one of those movies. And if it's not, it's so they can go in the second season or second movie and do that. Rocky lost the first movie.
Yes.
But he only lost the first movie so he can come back and win the second movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what a sports drama does. And this show stops being a sports drama. It starts being a different kind of show. And I don't think I was prepared for that by the end of the second season, because Ted Lasso, in my head, I was going to watch it to see my friends succeed, like a sports movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a Friday Night Lights. Like that's why I went to it time and time again the first season. That's why I finished it. We don't finish all our challenges very, very often, but we finished this first season and I went back for the second season, and that was why. And that's not what I got. So and just to bring it back to where we are now, as we were having to prepare for this challenge, Lexi had been asking me for weeks to get back to Ted Lasso. And I was like, yeah. But let's like watch Steven Universe.
Wow. I see how it is. She's like, using the podcast to make you watch stuff.
Marcus, no doubt that's exactly what she did. No lie. She'll admit it. That's exactly what happened. But I think me having to grapple with this being a different show than I originally intended is, I know something that I got to figure out.
Yeah.
But I think you're spot on with your interpretation and your diagnosis of what's happening, because just from that feeling, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. It's a different show.
I also think that this show, I mean, I could be wrong because I'm bad with time, but the show came out kind of during the pandemic, right? I think that's when season 1 came out.
Yeah.
We were still in the pandemic. People were alone. People were like not watching as much sort of like drama, as much upsetting stuff, because the world was upsetting. You know, it was an upsetting place to be in. So when Ted in the show is a beacon of optimism, I think he also provided sort of like an escape from what we were going through as viewers at the time as well. So we felt like you said, we felt like this was our friend. This is someone we were rooting for. This is someone we were excited to see, someone who brightened up our days as well as all the characters in the show. And then season 2 kind of was a departure from that. So I feel like people felt betrayed by that as well, maybe.
Yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying. I feel you. So to get into the third season, right? That's where we left off. The second season, feeling a little trepidatious about coming back. A lot of people feeling trepidatious about Nate as a character. You know, I'm just gonna give some general thoughts about season 3. Please interrupt, and then please include your own, and then we can get into the nitty and gritty of it. But overall, I'm frustrated, Marcus. I'm frustrated. Okay,
You're just going into season 3? Or after watching the episodes?
Right now, I'm frustrated.
Okay, you're frustrated. Got it.
Because here I am watching the first season, loving it. Watching the second season, loving most of it, but feeling icked out for this weird reason I can't even describe about what's happening. And it doesn't feel personal. Usually when I say that, it's like a deeply personal reason.
Yeah,
this is the first time in a while where I don't feel like I'm not Nate. I'm not like I'm Nate, and I don't like it because for the first time in a long time, I feel icked out, and don't like it for not personal reasons. I feel very confident in saying that.
Okay.
This isn't like March comes in like a lion. It's not going to turn around no, it's not. I'm still going to hate those things. I'm not addressing the issue. It just hasn't happened here. But as I'm feeling that way, as I'm watching, we have watched 4 episodes here in the second season. Gosh, Marcus, it feels like a season 2.5 for me so far. It doesn't feel like. Yes, because season 3, so many things happened. That cliffhanger was so huge. You know, the boss and Sam breaking up, Roy and Keely breaking up, you know, Ted with his panic attacks and finally breaking through with his shrink. Like, all these big things happened. And this season starts without any recap. There's nothing to remind me about where we're at.
You needed a recap?
Hold on.
You need an anime flashback?
Hold on.
Is that what you need?
No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's no recap. There was no onus put on all the events that just happened. It just starts up like we've been watching this show every week since then. All the things that are happening, Lexi disagreed with me, so maybe you will too. But as these 4 episodes are happening, nothing happens. Like, I just come from like these big things, and here I am in the last season, because they said there's only gonna be 3 seasons, and I think, okay, fine, wrap it all up, make it all fit for me, make it all work for me. And listen, I'm not complaining. I love this show. I love these characters. I love watching them in these scenarios. I love seeing all the little one-off jokes as they're like the whatever dogs, and they're like trying to fix. Oh, that's so funny and so great. The reporter being there and doing it, but that's like funny little like things to be in a show. Shut up, I am complaining. Deal with it. Where is the steak? Why am I getting all this potatoes, all these carrots, all this great garnish? I got steak sauce, but where's the steak, Marcus?
I half agree with you.
All right, I'll take it. Half's pretty good.
I half agree with you. I think that I'm watching some stuff on the show, and I am finding myself scared that in the amount of time we have left over, that we're not going to go back to some of these plot lines and kind of tie them up a little bit. And the more time we spend on things like Zava, and the more time we spend on certain things like that, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, awesome.
Zava.
But like, I want to go back and tie up these other things. I want to see more of Rebecca and Sam stuff. I want to see like what's kind of going there. And we are getting it. We're getting a little bit here and there each episode, but it doesn't. You're right. I am optimistic, and I think the show will do it justice.
I think you're right.
But right now, I'm nervous.
Same. And like, they did all this work to really make us care about Roy and Keely and the boss and Sam, that relationship, right? With her dating one of her soccer players, and the panic attacks and the shrink, and like and Jamie's like redemption. They did all this work to make us care about. Yeah. And we've barely seen any of that. Yeah. This season so far.
Look, it's 4 episodes.
We spend half an episode going to a sewage treatment plant. We spend every episode so far dealing with Zava. I feel like I've seen more of I keep saying the bosses, but I forget her name. What's the boss's name? What's her name? Marcus, what's her name?
Rebecca?
Rebecca, yes. I feel like we've seen more of Rebecca's husband than we've seen of Rebecca. I know that's not true, but like, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. But I think it's hard for me because I think that the show is doing these little things, right? Because as you're talking about like Jamie, right? And his redemption, like we got that he is a better person now. And we're getting to see that, right? He wants to be better than Zava. He wants to be a good person. So now him and Roy are bonding. And so Roy's waking him up to train in the morning. And you see his growth.
Feels like it's finally starting because of that. Yes.
Yes.
But that happened at the end of the 4th episode. Like you're like,
sure.
For 3 episodes, where was Jamie?
Yes.
Like, yes, you're right. They're showing him do all this. Then give him a storyline.
Yeah.
Where's the Jamie? Describe to me what the Jamie storyline is. He's upset Zava's there. That's not a storyline.
I get that. I need more. I feel like what I need right now is I need more Ted not being Ted and being like season 2 Ted a little bit. Like
where the hell's Ted in this season?
And figuring it out. Like I feel like I'm not getting a lot of Ted narrative. And every time we do get Ted, he's like optimistic and hiding everything. And it's like, okay, have you done any growth? Obviously, you're like working with your therapist and you're learning to grow in certain ways. But I feel like he's the character that we're getting the least amount of growth from.
And Marcus, aren't you getting just a little upset that Ted is just actively being bad at his job still? Like, what has he done for the players this season? He's probably done stuff, but they haven't shown it to us. In the first and even the second season, there were those speeches, there were those weird drills, there were like weird moments that like justified why he was there and working for the team. This season, so far, it feels like he's like actively not trying to do anything, and Roy and the assistant coach are doing everything, right? He hasn't implemented a single thought or idea about the team yet.
You know what this feels like?
What?
This feels like, again, to bring it back to anime.
God.
It feels like, I don't know. I don't want to say like Naruto or whatever, but it feels like one of those like ensemble shows where they force you to bond with like random guy number 5 or random guy number 4, and you get so hyped and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I love random guy number 4. I love these characters. And then they're sort of like pushed to the background and you never see them again, or you never see them as much as you once did before. And it's like, what are you doing? I liked those characters. I want to see those characters. I want to see their stories. And instead they like picked certain characters to then really spend a lot of time on, which is fine. But
no, then they bring more. Now we got Zava, we got Keely's CFO. Now we just got the person that backed her venture that's coming in. She's like an attractive woman that's coming, so she's obviously getting paid money to be there. So she's gonna have a storyline. Like,
and we got the reporter now, who I don't care about.
I kind of like the reporter bit.
He's fine. But like, I don't need to know more about him. He's in our eyes, he's not a character who we've spent time with and love and need to know more about.
He is a plot device. He's supposed to be.
Yeah. And I feel like so much of the season was breaking through to the team, right? Season 1 and 2 were like breaking through, making the team a team. And now that the team is a team, it's boring. Like they're
the team's a team. They're all chill. They all love each other. They love each other so much. But they're not even showing us them love each other. We're just like, and they love each other. Let's go over here.
Exactly. We're like, now that that's resolved, we no longer they're assuming we no longer care about it. But I still care about it. I still want to see the team bonding. I want to see those moments more than I want to see anything else.
That all being said, I'm very much enjoying the show because it's so hilarious and fun and our favorite characters and like, let's get into it, like the specifics and stuff. But like, you know, that I have these complaints, T said in the chat, the steak is still marinating, to my steak analogy. And honestly, I think that's apt. I think like you, I'm scared and worried because, you know, we're a third of the way through the season. A third, Marcus. A third of the season is done. You know? And it still feels like setup and fluff. You know, I want some meaty stuff. I want some stuff. But besides all that...
12 episodes long?
Yeah, I just looked. It's 12.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes me feel a little better. I could deal with a third being setup and then 2/3 being
100%.
really getting in there and dealing with it.
It was barely set up, but I understand your point. I get your point. But that being said, the stuff that we are getting is all great.
Yeah, I agree.
I-
I think that this is working a lot better than season 2 for me.
What's our complaint? We want more, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only complaint we have.
Mhm.
I have barely any complaints on what they've, except maybe Zava. I don't mind Zava. It's just a lot of screen time.
I
But
think
like,
Zava is a crutch. I think Zava
Yes.
is like, oh, we still need the team to have conflict, so we're gonna bring in Zava to create conflict. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, we still need a character that Ted can change and help grow as a person. So that's Zava, right? That's what
which
that's
is weird
gonna
because
be.
he hasn't interacted with anyone, right? Like Ted hasn't talked to him.
I
Has
know.
Ted talked to Zava?
No,
Has Ted and Zava been on Scream talking yet?
no, not more than like a small exchange.
They've had a small exchange. I don't remember.
It's like usually the exchanges with Zava go, someone says something to Zava, Zava says something weird, and everyone's like, oh, okay, and then moves on. Like that has been everything that we've seen with Zava. The more interesting thing was getting Zava on the team, right? That was interesting. Seeing
That was
the
fun.
dynamic Rebecca and her barging into the men's bathroom and
That was a
being
good
like,
moment.
I'm actually not going to take shit from you, and I'm going to fucking tell you what it is. And I love that. I love seeing Rebecca strong, confident, going up against her husband, standing for herself. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I also loved all that. I love anytime we get any kind of focus on any of these characters, I love it.
Mhm.
Really interesting the setup they're doing with the psychic. I don't know if I like that yet. We'll see. The payoff hasn't happened yet. But she went to the psychic her mom told her to, and there was
Mhm.
a green matchbox, a knight in shining armor, and then Sam, the footballer, had green matchbooks at his restaurant. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They also said she's gonna be
Yeah.
pregnant.
Give it to
So
me.
like,
Give
oh.
me like weird, spooky Twin Peaks shit that doesn't belong in the show. Like, give it to me. Give me, there's going to be a ghost demon man that possesses somebody and a murder's going to happen at the end of the season.
Marcus, you might be right. This show could definitely go there, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if I'd like it,
Fair
but I
enough.
wouldn't be surprised.
Fair enough. She said, "Oh, you're gonna have a family," which is open ended. Honestly, I'm interested in the psychic stuff. I'm not as interested in it being true or false. I'm more interested to see Rebecca sort of using it as a means to break through that barrier that she has between her and her mother,
Yeah.
and maybe understand her mother a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm also excited for that. I hope they give her the screen time to do it.
Yeah,
But also her being so, God, I wish I wasn't so complaining because I like some of this stuff. But Rebecca being so against her ex-husband felt a little reductive. It felt like I thought we were past some of this. And it was like first season, the beginning level of like upsetness about it, you know?
yeah.
But
But
that
I
being said,
think
the actress played it really well. It all
she
like was
did.
funny and fun.
She
She's
did, and
good.
I don't
really
think
good.
she's over it. Like I don't think at any point she was
Yes.
necessarily over it. And I think the direct betrayal from Nate, now that they're in the same league and all that stuff, like
The Nate stuff. Yeah.
that really makes it all worse.
Let me ask you a question.
Let me.
'Cause I don't know
answer
how
your
I feel
question.
about it yet. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. You're
Mhm.
such a kind
Gotcha.
podcast host. This season feels like the last episode or two of the last season didn't happen. And specifically, I'm talking about Nate. The show feels like it wants me to like feel bad for Nate and root for Nate. And
You
like
should feel
have
bad
Nate.
for Nate.
He's an asshole, though.
No. Okay. I feel like Nate has. Look.
Do you
Nate has a
remember
lot
the
of
end of
issues.
last season?
Yeah, Nate's not.
Nate was bad.
Okay.
They made him full blown
He wasn't.
bad guy at the end.
He wasn't.
Didn't they? Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
He wasn't bad. Okay, he was like awkward and weird, and we saw and understood his mindset. We saw how he was with his family, how his parents don't care about him, how he has low self-esteem, all these insecurities, how they can lead him to be this way. And I feel like I am rooting for Nate, but I'm rooting for Nate to grow and change. And like, it's fine if he's working for another team. I don't personally view it as a betrayal of his teammates. I think the way he left was definitely a betrayal, but I think that he has a lot of growth to do. And as a viewer, I'm excited for him to work through whatever bullshit he's got going on and grow.
God, and for this one, I think I hard disagree because
Okay.
I think it's just at a certain point, most shows do this, right? Most shows do the thing where they have a bad guy and then they're like, let me show you how he got there. And then I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be like, feel bad for him. But I'm like, no, like, I understand Nate has problems and he's
Yeah, yeah.
like, his mental health is probably not well. He's clearly unstable in terms of some of the feelings he has built up inside that's like building, and I know the family's to blame and his upbringing and this and that, but I'm just like, we choose to be mean people, right? Like, there's, if you're not actively doing things to like make up for the things you do, like, until oh gosh,
Is this
I
one of
guess
those personal things again?
no, it's
Okay.
really not. It's, thank you for calling me out if it was. No, it's just maybe you'd feel differently, but it's like, I think everyone has the capacity to change and to
Mhm.
better themselves if you haven't done something that's abhorrent, like
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
murder or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
something awful on that level. But like, I don't want to be a part of it,
Mhm. You want
like,
you to have your change over there, and you don't want me to watch. You don't want to watch it happen.
yeah,
I could see that. I totally understand that as a viewer and not wanting to have to go through that journey. But I
yeah,
think that it makes it more heartbreaking when you know the villain was a good person, right? Like, I think another example in media that I can think of is that I always bring up is Clone Wars. Like, when you watch Darth Vader, you know he's a bad guy. You watch the
yeah,
movies, they're poorly made. You don't really care. But then you watch the
yeah,
Clone Wars animated series and you spend time with Anakin and you get to know him. And there's that episode where they meet the embodiments of the light and dark side. And you see Anakin and he doesn't want to be bad. And he's like, no, he sees his future. He knows he's going to do all these horrible things. And he tries to like kill himself and he tries to like stop it. He's like, I will not be a part of this future. I cannot cause this pain. Nate, or in real life, you don't get the benefits of getting to see your future. Sometimes you have to make those mistakes and then make the effort to grow and change from them later. And I think that's what Nate is hopefully going to do in the next couple episodes.
I guess. But my only pushback would be, for the example you gave, this is Nate. It's not at that level, but Nate became Darth Vader. Like, we're not watching him now
Yeah.
get up to Darth. He was Darth.
Cool. You're right.
Would we watch?
And what does Darth
watch
Vader
a movie
do in the third movie? He betrays Palpatine and redeems himself, and the whole thing.
But see, yes, everything you're saying is right. But throughout 4 and 5, he's just the bad guy. We're not watching Darth Vader sit in a room, have to spit to be able to go talk to, like, we're not like the movie.
Yeah,
we're meant to be scared.
He's forced choking people.
No, hold on. We're meant to be scared and hate Vader up until that moment. Right? We're not supposed to feel sorry for him. We're not supposed to follow him in his life. Shut up.
I feel sorry for him. He's sitting there in the chair. You see all his scars in his head and then the helmet. You're like, that man's sad and lonely.
You know what? This show is perfect for you. Never mind. I take it all back. You know what? This is for someone. It is for you. That part, I guess, just isn't for me, because you are eating it up with a spoon, baby. You are like, yeah,
No.
num 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 num. Oh no, he drives a bad car. He drives a bad car and he feels bad about it. Oh, and now he gets a good car, but now his paternal figure is cheating on his wife, and he's like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't like that paternal figure. Oh no. Eat it up, Marcus. It's all for you, bud.
Yeah.
It's all for you, bud.
That's fair. I'm sorry.
T's on my side.
T's on your side?
Yeah, he ripped the sign. He's a dick. Done. He's Vader.
Well, okay, but look at what happens in the show, right? Like, he ripped the sign. They show that, and they try to use that to rile up the team, and the team just is so angry that they they suck, and it's pointless, right? I feel like it's trying to show us that like people can change, people can grow, and you can't control everyone else's actions. And also, even if Nate doesn't change and he still sucks and he doesn't work on himself, like, Granted, as a viewer, that's not as interesting, but it is kind of realistic.
Oh my God, Marcus, if we have to fucking watch Nate in all these goddamn episodes try to grow and try to get the balls to talk to the hostess and all these things, and he doesn't do it at the end, he doesn't apologize to Ted and like become an okay person in the end, what the hell was it all for? Oh my God, you just made me so mad in my mind. Because if it gets to the end and Darth Vader doesn't sacrifice himself to stop Palpatine, none of it makes sense.
Yeah. But I think that's what we're working our way towards. I think we're going to get
so?
Darth Vader betraying Palpatine. No, not.
Oh, you think he's going to betray Palpatine? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Every trilogy is Star Wars. Every single trilogy ever made is just Star Wars.
You're supposed to be like breaking into his outer shell to realize he's not a bad person. But the show is like telling me he's not a bad person. And I'm just like, show, you just told me he is. Like, I can't. What do you think? It's upsetting. I don't love it.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think he's a bad person, right?
I'm also playing it up just a little bit.
In the newest episode, we're getting signs of him like, hey, he is trying to be a good person. Hey, he's trying to talk to Ted. He even talks to Rupert and says, hey, I think I should apologize. Right? Yeah. He knows what's going on. Yeah. And I think that he just needs to face inward and change. And I think that it's interesting too, because I think Ted Lasso has been a source of change for so many other people. He's influenced everyone else's change in the season. And for him to finally to have a character that is maybe going to grow on their own away from Ted, I think is really nice to also see.
I will say that most of my points lie before episode 4, because as episode 4 happens and the two teams are playing against each other, the stuff with Nate started to feel okay. Yeah. Him almost talking to Ted, him wanting to talk to Ted, having the bad guy, the ex-husband, Rupert, having Rupert be the way he is and having Nate see that and wonder if, oh my God, this person finally giving me the validation I've wanted is not the person I want validation from. I want validation from Ted. Yeah, I want validation from somewhere else. Yes, is good. It is starting to come through, and I'm pushing back because I think I didn't like the way we got here, but I think you're right. I think it's starting to circle the drain for me. And it's starting to pay off, and I think the way it's going to go is going to be good.
Yeah, sometimes you end up surrounded by people, and you're like, "Ooh, am I a bad person?"
Yes.
If I'm surrounded by all these people making bad choices, am I also a part of this?
You know what's weird though?
What?
Am I supposed to just root for him with the hostess girl? Like, the show really wanted me to root for him in that moment, and I'm like, he's still the bad guy. Show
I wasn't rooting for him.
The show wants you to. In that moment with the hostess, come on.
Yeah, I think it does make him human again in a way that is like, oh, this man is not just a supervillain who is now going around like treating women like shit and like being a bad person overall.
Marcus, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor and stop making everything make sense? Can you let me hate something? Okay. I come on this podcast to hate something. I come in with a whole list of complaints and I say, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And then you come in here with all your empathy and all your logic and all your good words and explanation to completely invalidate my feelings of badness. I feel betrayed by you. Can you just every once in a while say, wow, Nick, that was bad.
I'm sorry. Can we can watch Drag Me to Hell again if that makes you feel better?
No, it's probably better on the rewatch.
It's funny. That's the only challenge I can think of that you genuinely just hated, and at the end, you still hated it.
Oh, Marcus, I love everything by the end. I just love watching things with you. It's a joy. It's a pleasure. I would watch anything with you. Swear to God.
I appreciate
that movie was so bad. What else you got? Like, what's
how do you feel about I was gonna say, how do you feel about the Keeley stuff? She's trying to run her own business.
I was gonna bring up Roy and Keeley. Gosh, the thing that I feel bad again because it's another complaint, but like the Roy and Keeley stuff in the second season was some of my favorite moments. Them helping each other grow in such a healthy way was so nice to see. You so rarely see it. And both those characters were already so interesting and fun that seeing them grow more was so great that it was heartbreaking when they separated. So they have only played with that in a couple glances. And I hope we get more of it. I think we are going to. It's just,
Yeah.
again, time wise. But the things with Keely, I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we finally got it. I needed something to happen. I needed a storyline.
Yeah.
Like they've just been having her be at the job. And I guess you can say the friend thing is a storyline, but it feels like a BC storyline in her own story. The thing with the exec finally feels like an A storyline. Now we're going to get it. And I'm excited about it, right?
Yeah.
But overall, aesthetically, really cool. Really cool seeing Keely grow. Really cool seeing Keely thrive.
Agreed.
You know?
I think this is
Yeah, what
totally
do you
in line
think
with
about
her
it?
character.
What do you
I
think
feel
about
like-
all of it?
No, I just feel like this whole thing with Keely is like really in line with her character. I think it works really well. I think that a theme, a sub theme, maybe theme number B or C of the
Yeah.
season is having to face your consequences. Like your actions have consequences, right? So like
yeah.
Keely is
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm gonna be like season 1 was very much like blind optimism. It was like everything's great, everything's perfect, shoot your shot, fight for your dreams, everything's gonna work out in the end. And I feel like season 3 now is like, okay, yeah, you starting a business. What does that look like? You can't just hire your friends off the street and assume that everything's gonna work well. You have to take charge. You have to be responsible. You have to be a boss, And
not everybody's a good boss. Not everyone's a good manager. You can have
Exactly, yeah.
vision and scope and talent and all these amazing things that would make you amazing leader of a company. But that doesn't mean you have, what's the word for being able to have employees? What skill? It's a very specific word. I'll just say managerial skill, but there's a very specific word for having employees of being good at it.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you have that just by being.
Yeah.
Some people just have that.
Yeah.
That's why there are like execs and chiefs of staff, right? A chief of staff
sure.
is like their job is to be good at having employees.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And some people crush it.
But it's the same thing with the relationship with Keely and Roy. They both were like, we can be together. We like each other. Yay. And then they both didn't really put any effort into being in a relationship. And so that didn't work out. It might still work out once they kind of like learn to put effort towards, in being in a relationship and the work that entails as well. But that's something also that's kind of weird. I don't like what they're doing with Jamie and Keely, where she's kind of like maybe falling in love with him again because he's done all this work.
I would hate that. But back to Roy and Keely, I think I actually like why they broke up. It felt really real to me because they said it in this. They quantified it in this season really well, where it was like she just started her career and Roy finishes. He was ready to just retire, take vacations, and Keely's like, I'm just about to start my life now and not be a model and be this big wig CEO thing. So they were just at different points in their lives. But I agree with you. The Jamie stuff, I'm like, oh man, I really hope they just come together in terms of being friends, because I just don't.
Yeah.
Love triangles, a love triangle right now there. I don't want it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some tension with her and the Jack, right? Was the venture capitalist.
Jack, yes. I'm actually, the introduction of Jack was great. You saw it coming, but it was still great. The little awkwardness with Jack so far.
I would
I'm really
like
excited
that
for Jack
better.
to show up and just do something.
Yeah.
Oh, and then does Roy get with Jamie?
Oh, I would love that. That would be great.
That works out. I think that's the way to do it. Keely gets with Jack, and then Roy and Jamie figure it out.
I like Roy and Jamie becoming friends. I think that shows a lot of growth on both of their parts.
I really love it too. It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through so much because they get it.
Yeah.
Very few people have been where they have been the best ever, right?
Yeah.
And now neither of them are. And one is completely done, and the other one gets to help the other one figure out how to thread that needle. Love that relationship because they hate each other, but they hate each other because of like stupid football machismo things.
Yeah.
And you can tell they just have so much respect for each other, right?
Yep. I
love that.
Also, I would like more Sam.
We have got no Sam.
We got a little bit of Sam in the restaurant.
Did they not want to pay him this season? Like, he hasn't been in anything. He had one moment of like something eating with a chef. and like him thanking everyone for coming to his restaurant.
Yeah.
And that has been it. I feel like I haven't even seen him in the locker room. Has he even been there?
Yeah.
Has he even on the pitch?
Around. He's been around.
Has he? We had so much of him last season.
Yeah, I feel like we had a lot of Sam, and we're not getting enough Sam.
I liked him too. Yeah,
I know. I like Sam a lot. We're getting like more of there's this like weird subplot about one of the main guys being gay. Oh no.
Oh. See,
I don't understand what's happening there, if I'm being honest. Like they're like, oh, because it's sports, like being gay is not acceptable, or like that just feels
just
like
because we live in a very progressive
plot. I don't know.
Sports aren't there.
You're right. A lot of things aren't there. Look at what we're going through right now. We have half of America pouring out their Bud Lights because they have a trans spokesperson. Like I guess we're still not there.
It's crazy, but like in terms of like the sports world, I agree. Like if they don't have anything new to say about it, I'm uninterested. But I feel like they might. They've done it well so far. Like I'm, because he's off the pitch now. He's off the starting lineup now too. So like I feel like they have set up for him to have a really cool storyline soon. I think they're just doing the work. If the storyline is just he gets outed, he's upset, it's hard, he comes to terms with it, the team accepts him, hurrah, then I would agree with you. I mean, we've seen that story. Even though it is true that it doesn't happen in this realm, but the show has done that so far in terms of every storyline ever with everything. Like every single one has been nuanced in a way that has made it different and unique, its own to Ted Lasso. So I'm actually excited for that storyline because I like the actor. I like what he's doing. It makes sense to me. Like he's just so like nice and even keeled. So like I have no idea how he's gonna react to any of this happening. Because he's just like, he doesn't get in anyone's way. He's just like the nice guy. I'm okay being off the starting lineup. I'm just happy to be here. Like the way he is. I'm excited to see what happens.
I mean, I'm excited too. I just feel like, I don't know. I guess it just feels like I want them to handle it well. And it feels like they threw it into the season. And I'm not saying that hints of it weren't there before, because I don't know enough. I don't remember enough about this guy's character.
Sure. Well, I don't think he had one. But it's felt nuanced so far for me. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's also stressing me out a little bit because I wonder like what's it's going to explode in some way, right? Like in what way is it going to explode?
Obviously,
is it going to be with Zava? Is Zava going to be homophobic and have to get kicked off the team? Like in my brain, that's what happens. I think maybe Zava finds out he's homophobic. The team has to rally behind their teammate, and then they end up kicking Zava off the team, even though he's the only one scoring points. But that culminates at a time where Jamie finally is getting really good, so they end up not needing Zava, and it's Jamie and his good teamwork with his friends that get them to the end.
Actually, I think you probably just said exactly what it is. That was pretty good.
That makes sense, right? That's my guess.
But you said that like it's a bad. That was pretty good. That wasn't bad. That was, like,
no, you're right. You're right.
There would be way worse. There would be way worse.
You're right. And it's pretty good.
Like the way worse was he get outed and the whole team says, "Nah, get out of here."
But that never happened.
And then Ted comes in and says, "He was your teammate."
That's the bad version of it.
And then they're like, "Oh, you're right." And they all show up with flowers at his doorstep.
They're like, actually, we're not homophobic.
Yeah, that's the worst version. That's the bad version of it.
Yeah, or it's done like an after school special where they're like, okay, we have to talk about it. Like everyone's like, oh no, with the locker rooms, he should have changed separately or some other homophobic shit. And then what I'd like? And then Ted Lasso's like, hey guys, being gay is actually pretty cool. And everyone's like, oh my god, you're right.
You know what I would like to see that isn't talked about? I hope it's similar to what you said, but it's like, everyone says they're cool and Gucci, but then it shows like even when you are in a place that's maybe more woke or maybe more like liberal and maybe more accepting on the outside, no matter what happens, when a change like that happens unexpectedly in a male, cisgendered, straight dominated field, there are going to be microaggressions. You know what I mean? Like I hope so. I think that there's a chance to really like say something.
That's true.
Because it's also happened recently. I feel like in sports too, right?
Mhm.
Like if any reporter found out any pro athlete that was not out was homosexual and was able to out them, that reporter would think it's the like get of their career, right?
Hmm.
It would be all over the news. Like we would hear about it, not as sports fans, right? So I think there's room here to say something, and I have faith so far, just because I don't like the Nate stuff.
Yeah.
I still think the writing in the show is really smart, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. I am optimistic. You are trepidatious. I think that's a good place to be.
About this one plot line. I feel
Yeah,
just
about
because
this one
sometimes
thing.
I've seen people drop the ball with this kind of stuff. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm nervous. I don't want to hate the show because they dropped the ball so hard.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think they've been so good about everything so far.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Well, Nick, do you have any more to say about Ted Lasso season 3?
Gosh, I feel bad because all I've done this episode is rail against it.
I feel like
No,
you've
I
said a
did.
lot of
I did.
positive things.
I know. I barely said anything positive. I said a lot of negative things. But I will say every little thing in the show is still so good. The interaction between Ted and his son. Oh, we didn't even talk about it. The one storyline that has happened with Ted about his wife getting with their couples therapist. It's so good so far. And it's so good. And that phone call
It
that
hurts
Ted
my
called.
feelings.
I know, yeah. But it's like real and it's good. And it's written well, and that oh my god, that conversation he had with his wife,
Yeah.
and she just sat there in silence because she couldn't say anything. It felt so real. It felt so honest. Like that's why you watch the show, for those moments of like real human heart. Marcus, could you imagine?
I wish he would talk to his I feel like I like him having that
He needs to talk
conversation.
to his friends. Why doesn't he talk to his friends ever
But he
about
needs
anything?
to talk to his friends about it.
Anything ever.
Because he's like,
Please,
it's time
Ted.
for the Diamond Dogs. And it's like, yeah,
Diamond
cool. You're talking about like you sleeping with Rebecca's friend.
And her calling you a mess. Fun, but like
Talk about your son. Talk about what's happening with your wife. Talk about let the Diamond Dogs in, baby. They want to help.
Yes, let the Diamond Dogs in. Ted is a little bit of a hypocrite.
Yes.
It's so funny because usually like toxic masculinity is like a machismo. Like it's not toxic masculinity that he's doing, but it is this like he does have a masculinity thing going on where it's not about, you can talk about your feelings, you could talk about this, but not mine. Like, no one wants to hear about like what's going on with me. Like,
I don't know if it's masculinity. I feel like it has to do with like positivity. Like he's just like toxically positive in a way that is like, I have to present as like everything's well and I'm here for you. What do you need? I'm a giver.
That's what it is. No, that's what it is. It's the giver thing. It's not the positivity, because he says negative things. He talks about his panic attacks. He talks about things. He talks about being a mess.
Yeah.
It's the giver thing. He does it. Wow. Now I'm relating. Now it's about me again. Okay. It's about him not wanting to be a burden. He's a giver. He likes giving. That's where he gets his happiness from, right? But it's gotten to the point now where that's not enough, right? Yeah. Just giving his all to everyone else, there's nothing for him left.
Yeah. I want to see more people in this season give to Ted.
Yes. So that way we can have Ted give to everyone else, and that's the happy part of the show, where he rallies the team and gets everyone to win. And right now he's not doing his job. Literally, he hasn't done anything. But yeah, that conversation. But Marcus, you get a divorce.
Oh my God.
Your wife is with the person that used to be the therapist for you and your ex-wife.
No, thank you.
Whoa.
No, that is so bad. It is so bad. On so many levels.
Bad.
It was a betrayal to her husband, her ex-husband. It is a betrayal, therapy wise. Like, is that malpractice? Like, what?
It's definitely not good. It's definitely.
Oh,
next. Oh,
that is like
God.
You are in a position of power. You are in control in this relationship. You have that.
You're in control of their relationships. Like I've never been in couples counseling, but like the premise of somebody is arbitrating your relationship for you. Like they are going through the back and forth of the things that are wrong and whose fault is what. Like you go in there saying, my partner did this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, my partner did this bullshit. And they said, okay, well, let's unpack how does this.
Exactly.
And they're like doing that. And then they're
Yeah.
like, hey, Ted, you know, maybe you messed up. And then taking a note is like, and when I get there, I'm going to make sure that I will always wash the dishes.
I mean, look,
okay, Ted, and then Rachel, or whatever the fuck her name is. Tell me again, what do you think Ted's not fulfilling? So sexually in the bedroom, he's not doing
it's
what the
manipulative.
fuck?
It is manipulative.
It's so
Look,
manipulative.
you've had therapy. I've had therapy.
Yeah,
you know what a vulnerable place that is. And imagine if that person was trying to fuck you. No.
That sounds like a rom-com. That happened
It's
in
bad.
What is it? 50-50?
If
Remember
that's
50-50?
I don't know what that is.
With Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen.
Is
Joseph
one of them
Gordon-Levitt
a
gets cancer.
therapist?
Well, no. Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets cancer. Seth Rogen's his best friend, and Anna Kendrick is the shrink, and they do fall for each other. And it's good.
No.
It's a good movie.
No.
Ooh, let me add it to my list. 50-50. You never seen 50-50?
No,
Good
I've
movie.
never seen 50-50, but that sounds terrible and like a bad thing to
2011.
do.
Because it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Anna Kendrick. You want them to get together.
Hard disagree.
Well, we'll watch the movie and we'll talk about it. But yes, it's such a betrayal. It's such like, and I understand the show's going to be like, he was always a good guy. It happened after. Like, no matter what, at the end of the day, there is a grossness involved that you can never get over. That betrayal.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. Crazy.
But I'm excited. But he talked about it, and I'm excited to see how things continue to play out.
Yeah, same. It happened right at the end of the last episode.
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't know what more is going to come. But it felt like a big step for Ted.
Yeah.
And I felt like the wife was silent because she knew, wow, Ted never tells me he's mad.
Yeah.
I'm in shock. And I need to just listen because I was talking with Lexi about it. It's like, I was like, it's kind of weird that she's silent. Like normal people would just instinctively say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to find out.
Or get defensive.
We never meant to
yeah.
hurt you. She said nothing. And maybe because she only could say 3 sentences and she already said them for that episode. Maybe there's real reasons. But at least in the reality of the show, she didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? Isn't that
No,
interesting? Not
it was
strange. Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think that
Yeah.
it was good. It was good. She knew she was in the wrong, right? She was doing something. She was obviously not being super open about it. So like she
Yeah.
knew she was in the wrong. And I think that I think that moment shows that she respects Ted as well, which was good.
Yeah.
Because if she's being super defensive or super shitty about it, she becomes a villain, not a partner that we want to see Ted raise his child with.
As I'm scrolling through, I just thinking about some of the gags from the show that really made me laugh out loud. I really liked when Roy and the assistant coach were trying to figure out how to mess with Nate's team. And they said, and they're expecting us to do this. And then we're expecting them to do this. And then we're going to do this 4-5, 4-4-2. And then Ted's like, yeah, this is looking good, gang. Do you really think you can get Zava to do this? Fuck, and they push it over. It's like, those moments are like that humor of the show really, really works. And I really, really love those moments.
I think the heart is still in the show. I think that it's still fun. I think after,
100%.
Daron had mentioned in the chat earlier about like this season being really tumultuous and them having some difficulties with Jason Sudeikis wanting this to be the last season and Apple TV and producers wanting it to continue.
They want it to be The Office and he wants it to be Breaking Bad or whatever.
I am on the side of Jason Sudeikis. I think after this season, I don't want it anymore. I think a show needs to be 3 seasons long. I mean,
Breaking Bad's 5, and they say that it's the best show of all time.
I hated Breaking Bad. It was too long.
I hate Breaking Bad. It's too boring. It's so boring. I will go on YouTube and watch the good moments of Breaking Bad because there's like 6 of them that are like great speeches and I am the thunder. I am whatever. Cool, great. You didn't gotta watch the whole show to get there.
It was too many seasons.
Long.
3 seasons is perfect. Now for everything. Sometimes 1 season is perfect. Or like Taskmaster can go on forever because it's not that kind of show.
That's different. Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example of a show that lasted exactly the right amount of time. It's hard. It's really
Oh my
hard
God, there was
to
just
think of a
one.
show.
Oh, shoot.
It's really hard to think.
Maybe not 3 seasons, but like 3-ish.
No, I think you're right.
Number.
No. Sorry, Marcus, your instinct is totally correct.
The Good Place?
I just can't think of Marcus. Did you keep watching Good Place after season 2?
I watched all The Good Place. And I do think it could have been 3 seasons long.
That's what has any.
Not in terms of like the 4th season was worthless. I think they could have like shortened everything and compressed it into 3-ish
I stopped
seasons.
watching when they got back to the real world.
It was still good. I liked it.
I'm not saying whether it was good or bad. I just stopped watching. I'm just saying. I have trouble finishing things. That's a
Darren
me
agrees. Yeah, she loves The Good Place. I love The Good Place. I think it's great.
Shows that
Over the Garden Wall, I don't think should have been 3 seasons. I think it's perfect as one little cute season that is near and dear to my heart. That was perfect amount of
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That was that 3 seasons or was that 4?
I think that was 3.
That was perfect.
3, or maybe 4. Let me look. It's on this list. 2005. It was 3? Yeah, it was 3. Yeah. And Avatar: The Last Airbender, almost a perfect show.
The Good Place last season was good, Nick. I will say, like, you should watch that.
Man, there's so many things I need to finish. I get it.
Mhm.
People should finish television shows. Whatever. Who's got time, man? Who's got flipping time for that?
Okay, I don't want to keep
going.
going through my shows and figure out what was good and what wasn't.
Well, I Googled shows that lasted less than 5 seasons that are great, and I haven't watched any of these shows. Or I have, and I disagree.
That's fair.
Like they put Pushing Daisies on this list. Pushing Daisies is a wonderful show. It got canceled. That doesn't count.
Yeah. They didn't have it.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is the best and only example. Because that show was perfect.
Yeah,
it was pretty freaking perfect.
Yeah.
They also put
like
Sherlock on the show. They're talking about bringing Sherlock back.
One season.
And that last season of Sherlock wasn't great.
One season's also good. I think some shows need to end. I don't think you want Fleabag. Fleabag was great.
I wanted a 3rd season, man.
Well, then it would have been 3 seasons, and that still fits the criteria.
But it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Like none of these shows get it right.
I guess
except
you're right.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the best shows ever made.
That's it. That's it. That's our consensus. That's our takeaway from this episode of Ted Lasso and from our episodes of our podcast. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a perfect show
ever made. Mm-hmm.
But then they brought back a sequel. They brought a sequel, and that's
Korra.
like mixing.
It's a spin-off. It's different.
You're right. They are making like direct sequels soon that are like movies or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Star Wars. Oh, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, well, those are movies. TV's harder.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks? Was Twin Peaks perfect? No, that was weird. Don't even tell me.
No.
Don't even tell me anything about Twin Peaks. This is weird. That's a weird show. All right. Well, Marcus, is there anything else you would like to talk about what are we talking about? Ted Lasso.
Oh, we get distracted sometimes.
No.
You know what's funny? I feel like because it's a stream, sometimes I'm like, we're just hanging, we're chilling, we're streaming. We have to talk for like 5 hours. It's okay. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, this is like a podcast. We got to keep it tight.
Marcus, I will say, I'm sure every fan of this show would say, maybe your episode should be 30 minutes long and you just talk about the thing. Honestly, we should talk about it. We'd probably do better if we recorded 2 or 3 30-minute episodes about things going forward. I was literally just thinking about this show.
Can you focus for that long? I can't focus for that long. That seems so hard.
You're so ridiculous. We can still have tangents. It's just what talking about this show made me realize that I think I would enjoy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a show as it's coming out. We've never done that. And I don't know if we have the show or the format to do that. But if anything comes along in the next year or so, we should experiment with that because that sounds fun. Like to every week go back and talk and continue a conversation about a thing as it's growing and find out if we're right or wrong in our predictions and what we think about a show. I'm just throwing it out there. Go to the Patreon, sign up and tell us what you think.
Let us know.
We'll follow the money.
We said we would start a D&D podcast. We said we would start a podcast where we talk about other things. I feel like we could start a podcast where we don't talk about movies at all. Who knows? We could talk about something else.
What are we talking about?
We could do one of those what is it? Reddit things like am I an asshole? And then just clip that.
Damn, that's a great idea. We should do that.
There's 5 million. Every other podcast is that format.
Well, I know, but we could do it better.
That's the trapping. That's
Marcus,
What's
Anything
up?
else about Ted Lasso season 3?
No.
The answer is no. Good job. Marcus, first question. Did you like Ted Lasso season 3 so far?
I did. Nick, same question. Did you like Ted Lasso season 3 so far?
Against what it sounds like I felt the entire episode we just recorded, I very much enjoyed Ted Lasso season 3, and I was upset there was only 4 episodes for us to watch.
Hell yeah.
Are you going to continue watching? No. Or would you recommend Ted Lasso season 3?
I would recommend the shit out of Ted Lasso season 3. If you never watched Ted Lasso, go back and watch it. It's great. Nick, would you recommend Ted Lasso?
A little pushback. That is not recommending Ted Lasso season 3. That's recommending Ted Lasso season 1. And then if they like it, they'll stick around.
Skip season 1 and 2 and go right to 3. It's that good.
Made you commit. That is not the way you should go. I do not recommend season 3. Go back and start at the beginning. That was better. But I like where we're going, and I'm excited to see more.
Okay.
Marcus, are you going to continue watching it?
I am definitely going to continue watching it.
I don't
What
see a
about you?
world where I don't finish this. This is legit one of the shows that we actually actively watch. We are going to finish the show. There's not a lot of shows that are like that for me. We fall off a lot of shows. I fall off a lot of shows, a lot.
Yeah.
This is not going to be one of them. I will be finishing this show. And if you guys want us to check back in at the end of the season, let us know, because we'd love to talk about it more.
Yep, we'll do a
See
season
if we're right or wrong.
3.5, the second half of Ted Lasso.
For branding, I'm pretty sure we would figure it out. Guys,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining us. Remember, this was a Patreon-powered episode, which means you can go to patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. Join the Patreon. You get access to the Discord. You get to give us your suggestions every month. And then you get to vote every month on what those things will be and watch us here live on Twitch discussing your picks. You can also follow us everywhere at nowtrythiscast. Come and join the conversation. Be our friend. Follow us everywhere. But if you can't do any of that, if you ain't got the money to subscribe, we completely understand. Just go ahead and leave us a review on Apple iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, on YouTube, wherever you are listening to this. Thank you so much.
Like, comment, subscribe, baby. It's all free. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We love you.
Good night.
And remember to go out there and try things. Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
I know, but Love and Blind is so fucking hot right now. Everyone's reacting to it, dude.
That's true.
It's fucking,
That's true.
and it's because it's fucking. This season's crazy.
I have never watched it before, so this season it just feel can't tell what's the standard for crazy. You know,
What's your one-word description of this season so far?
it is weird as fuck.
Yeah, it is. It is weird as fuck.